Haidong! In this video, we're going to talk about aspects of Yedo 2. Yedo 2 is a shorter form, right? So there's not going to be as much new stuff, right? And a lot of it is, I won't say recycled, right? But maybe the idea is also we're doing some of the similar things, but now we're doing it maybe with a shorter sword. So again, that might be adding some aspects. That said, we still have, again, 3 things to be playing with, right? So let's take a look, right? So the first one is taking an idea from Yedo, as in Yedo 1, right, our previous form, and using it in a slightly different way. So what we're going to be talking about is using the false edge, again, the back of the sword, now more as an offensive move. Now we've used it in the past as an upper block, right, in Sangsu 7. We used it in the past as a sweeping block, like in, again, Yedo 1. Let's actually use this even more offensively, right? So then we will use this as a block of a sword. It can also be used offensively. So what I'm thinking about is actually middle of the form, right? So we just did our one-hand uppercut. The idea here is we can, so the sword's coming in, strike, again, using the false edge, roll with it, and then bang, bang, right? Now another interpretation of this is eye gouge, right? So again, this is very pointy, right? You don't want that near someone's eye, right? And if you think about, again, typical armor that were probably worn back in the day, they still had, again, eye slits, right? So you can still poke into the eye a little bit, right? So let's try to do that, right? So if we're here, we just did our fun little uppercut, aiming for the eye, strike, and then going with it and cut. Right, so this move has a few different interpretations. We do use this interpretation again in future forms as well, but it's an idea, right? So again, here, just using your advancing motion, we're gonna kill the momentum as you step. So using that step to kill it, right? So really use that equal and opposite, so you can even step across a little bit more if you want to, have a little bit more of that counterbalance in your footwork. Strike, roll, and then bam, bam. Make sense? The second thing I would like to discuss is maybe a little bit nebulous, but the idea of retreating linearly. And, now we have done that in the past, but not in this way. So for example, in Sangsu 3, right, we're here, and we take our double steps back, right? So we are retreating, and we're doing it very linearly. I'm going away from my opponent deliberately, right? So because I might be trying to find an opening, we kind of force them to kind of bait them to go for like my wrist or something like that. Okay. Why are we doing this in form 15, right? I mean, this is a fairly high level form. Why are we moving backwards in this way again? So what I'd like to, again, propose to you is, this is also working with the psychology of your opponent, right? So the too long to listen, short version is, it's gonna break their rhythm. But we're here, so again, think about what's going on before it. We're doing a very repetitious strike. They're falling into a rhythm. I'm gonna subtly try to break that rhythm with upper block, uppercut. Didn't quite work. I'm gonna actually shift back, force them to again move forward again if we were both in good distance. Force them back, and you again probably imagine what I'm gonna do here, and then big long strike. So I'm really like forcing that distance change, right? I'm charging them, making them come back, charging you back in again, right? It's gonna be very disorienting for the person you're striking, and it's again gonna show openings and stuff like that. And the third thing that I'd like to consider is the slow start, right? Now I did mention this in terms of Shimsong, right? But the idea behind this one's gonna be even different from that. So Shimsong, the idea is that slow start is just like, all right, I see them. I'm just gonna kind of get that energy. Again, we actually do this kind of meditation quite a lot in Gumdo, but we kind of get that energy, get it ready, kind of feel that energy pushing forward, and then charge, right? So that's kind of what's going on with Shimsong. Yedo 2 is a little bit different. So Yedo 2 is simply a slow draw. Now this will still be working on pressure. Again, I want to eventually make a a better video on pressure, just because it's a very, again, ethereal, nebulous idea. That's really, really important in swordsmanship. But it's hard to articulate without sounding crazy, so stay tuned. But the idea here is it's not intended to be, I'm just gonna take my time, I'm not gonna die yet because I'm the hero. I'm not, right? The idea is you're still, so you're engaged with someone. The next move you do is short distance, right? I'm not charging towards anyone. We're already almost in combat, right? So from here, the idea is I'm still trying to pressure you, right? So it's not, just relaxing this way. You should never really be super relaxed. The idea is I'm here, I see you, I'm trying to push, again, force my pressure on you as we draw. Again, notice I'm not open per se. My sword's ready. Again, open. Again, feel the pressure. If I need to, at any point I can switch my right hand, but now I'm ready. At this point, I'll do that nice flinching motion that we saw in the previous form. But yeah, so then we're here. So again, this draw is actually used quite often when people are doing bamboo cutting, so you've probably seen this before. If this looks familiar, this was also part of Sangsu 6. Feel that pressure, right? So it's no longer gathering and then kind of like flamethrowering it. That was a really terrible sentence, but we're going to go with it. Versus this one's kind of, you already have that pressure, right? So I'm here, I see you, and my sword's always at the ready to strike. It's like, all right, dude, back away. And again, feel that tightness in your core here. Again, if I need to, I can again engage the tip. I'm fully capable of, again, defending myself here. Again, pressure pushing forward as I get ready here, right? And then engage, right? And then we're going to start the rest of the form. So, can we retcon? I really want that on the t-shirt. Can we retcon, right? Yes, right? So let's take a look at that eye gouge, right? So the first major time I'm thinking about this is actually Sangsu 4. That's pretty early, right? So from here, I'm just gonna face this way, right? So we just did our nice introduction, and we're here, pop, right? Now, normally we think about this as a defense, and then engage. But we can also think about that as an eye gouge, right? So we're here, eye gouge. So when I first learned it, was actually taught as an eye gouge. I was in Teidose as I eye gouged, and then kind of pressed my advantage against that person. So that very aggressive kind of sweeping motion can be seen as an eye gouge, which actually means maybe as early as Sangsu 2, right? So for example, bang, eye gouge, this way. Now it's gonna be less likely just because striking from this side is a little bit harder, but maybe you can keep trying to eye gouge with each of these strikes, kind of just play with the idea. I mentioned in Sangsu 3 that we do have a linear retreat. We don't really use that so much to break a rhythm. We use that kind of to bait them in, like, oh, see this wrist? Go for it, haha, right? So we do use linear motion that way. So again, that linear retreat that way. This is in multiple moves, right? Because we do have moves we just kind of have one back. But you can probably imagine, again, there are going to be instances where you do have some sort of linear motion backwards. Also, always note how you're interacting with your opponent as you do so. So even if it's an earlier form, even where allegedly you're not fighting someone who's as cognizant, right? So again, my general rule of thumb is you're always fighting someone who is of your rank, or maybe like one level below, one level above, but again, about your level, right? So imagine what you would be doing if you're fighting me, even going through form 3, right? So for example, would I fall for this? I probably would do something a little bit different. I'd probably start charging you, not say aim for a risk per se, but I'll probably charge you in a defense. But again, think about what your current self would do against, again, yourself in this form. So again, as you're going through the linear motions, imagine what your other self, your dark self, will be doing against you. So that's, again, a major idea of Form 2, or Form 2, we're still in Form 2. Form 2, right? So again, engaging with your opponent, again, breaking their rhythm. You can probably imagine it happens quite a lot in previous forms. Can we retcon the slow start? Maybe, right? So even with Form 1, if I really want to, maybe that nice big draw, again, feeling that pressure push forward, and then get back, sure, right? So pretty much most of these, with the exception of a few like 6, it's going to be hard to draw slowly when you're midair, right? But a lot of these you can do more slowly, more meditatively, right? With intentionality, which you always have intentionality, but the intention of pressuring them, again, letting them know you're aware and you're capable of striking them. You can retcon this for most of the previous form, which is pretty nice. Again, with the exception of like 6 through 6, for example, we have be midair as you strike. But again, you can take the idea of pressure and again apply it to all of your forms, which you should be doing as soon as you can. Right? So once you get the idea of what pressure is, again, maybe at this point, maybe it's starting to kind of get that sensation. Actually, so today with my current student, he described pressure, and he's a color belt, described pressure almost like sticky air, which I think was actually kind of like a nice idea. You're kind of like, because when you're here, again, you're trying to pressure someone, you want to, again, have the sensation of, again, try not to sound crazy, again, pressure, again, like that, a sticky air, and like a little pillow of air pushing towards them, right? So again, maybe without sounding so crazy, contemplate pressure, contemplate going through your slow draws, and again, retcon all these ideas and add them to your current forms, especially the pressure. So this, again, the sooner you introduce pressure, the better. But with that, I'm going to say, stay safe, stay humble, and keep training. Haidong!